Before we begin, viewer discretion is strongly advised. The following is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is the courtroom testimony of the Sean Diddy Compass trial. As reported by the press, day 10 of the Diddy trial. A federal courtroom in Manhattan. No press warning, no leaks. Just a moment. The judge looked up and spoke a name, and the air changed. Miss Lawrence, you may step forward. Not on a red carpet. Not at a premiere. Jennifer Lawrence, the Oscar winner, the Hollywood sweetheart, walked in, not to applause but to testify. As a sealed federal witness, the room froze. This wasn't for publicity. It wasn't a comeback, it was a reckoning. What Jennifer said, what she brought with her, shook the courtroom, not just because of who she was, but because of what she'd been holding in silence for over a decade. A letter, a memory, a warning, and a sentence that sent a chill through the courtroom. I won't be the next Cassie. What happened next wasn't just testimony. It was a message to the entire industry. Fame doesn't protect you. Silence does. But Jennifer Lawrence, she was done being silent. She had never intended for the world to see it. The handwriting was jagged. The paper, torn at the corners. The words desperate but defiant. The prosecution called it Exhibit 17A dated 2012. So whoever's pulling the strings, this is your last warning. I won't let you buy me. I won't disappear. I won't be the next Cassie. That letter was written years before Cassie ever filed a lawsuit. Jennifer Lawrence was just 22 at the time, barely through her first franchise, still new to all of it. The red carpets, the press tours, the branding deals. But behind the glamour there was something else, something darker. She told the court that her life changed during a so-called charity gala in Beverly Hills, an invite-only event. Exclusive, elite, tailored to young actors. They said it was about networking, branding, opportunity. But it wasn't. It was a trap, Jennifer said. That night she was picked up in a black SUV with no license plates. Her phone was taken. She was asked to sign a form, something called a release waiver. No one explained what it was for. When she entered the venue, the lights were dim. There were no cameras, just red lights. Dark hallways, men in suits, women in masks. And then something even stranger. I recognized someone, an actress. She was famous and terrified. Jennifer paused as the courtroom leaned in. They said it was just a game, that I didn't have to do anything. But once the door closed, there were no exits, no early outs, no second chances. You smiled, you played along, and you prayed that you didn't end up in the wrong room. She described a hallway, one with numbered doors and no signs. A girl came out crying, another never came back. And one door stood out, no name, just a number. Jennifer didn't need to explain. The courtroom already understood what she meant. The implication was clear. Then the prosecutor asked the question that made the jury visibly shift in their seats. Did you witness any criminal behavior? Jennifer took a deep breath. Not legally, but morally, yes. There was one girl, she said, even younger than Jennifer. She asked someone, "Who is she?" And the answer came like a gut punch. "She's just here for training." Jennifer's voice cracked, like she was an object, like she didn't even exist. Then came Exhibit 17B, a psychological report filed by Jennifer's therapist the week after the gala. Dissociation, flashbacks, insomnia. She didn't speak to anyone for days. Publicly, they said it was exhaustion. But the truth? I didn't sleep for 3 nights. I kept picturing that hallway, the smell, the sound. I still hear it sometimes. 5 years passed, award shows, photo shoots, Oscar wins. But then in 2017 it started again. Not through agents or publicists, but whispers, encrypted emails, blocked calls. She received a strange message through an old contact, a woman named Ari. Not a public figure, not a Hollywood name. The invite sounded harmless. A retreat for forward-thinking female talent, hosted by Sean Love Combs. No press, just peace. She ignored it, wanted no part of it. But then her phone rang. No caller ID. She answered, and what she heard stunned everyone in the courtroom. "It's not like last time. The house is gone. The tunnels are sealed. This is about rebirth." The room gasped. The judge hit the gavel. The prosecutor leaned in. "Miss Lawrence, what tunnels is she referring to?" Jennifer replied, "I never told anyone, not even my family, about the hallway, about the second room, the padded one. So how did Ari know? The next day, Jennifer found something inside her trailer on the set of Mother. No name, no return address. Inside, a copy of the same NDA she refused to sign in 2012, and one word written in thick black ink. Remender. Jennifer looked up from the witness stand. That was them saying, "We're still watching." She didn't tell anyone, not her team, not her co-stars. But that night, she wrote something in her private journal. The prosecution would later submit it as Exhibit 17E. If I disappear, send this letter. It wasn't an accident. It started in the Red Room. It ends here. Miss Lawrence, they asked, are you familiar with the property at 11 Star Island Drive? Jennifer's body visibly tensed. Yes, she said. I was there once briefly. She explained that in 2014, while promoting the Hunger Games Mockingjay, she was invited to what she was told would be a private after-party hosted by a streaming executive, a small group, just industry elites. The location? A mansion on Star Island, Miami. It looked like something out of a music video, red lights, manicured hedges, full security at the gate. Phones were taken at the door. Jennifer described walking in, leather couches arranged in a circle. A marble bar that didn't seem to have bartenders, only silent staff who passed drinks without making eye contact. And behind one wall, a full-length mirror tinted but too dark, too staged. It didn't feel like a party, she said. It felt like a set. She didn't stay long. A woman older walked up to her and whispered in her ear, "You don't belong here, sweetheart." That was enough. Jennifer left before midnight. Just days later, while on the X-Men Apocalypse press tour, a stylist handed her a leather jacket that had been gifted by the studio. Inside the sleeve, hidden in the lining, was a note. That room had 3 cameras. One was behind the mirror. Tell your team nothing. The prosecution introduced Exhibit 18A, a scanned version of the note, time-stamped and documented by Jennifer's assistant. That was the moment Jennifer stopped pretending it was paranoia. This wasn't just something that happened to me, she said. It was something being recorded. Jennifer said that during a brief partnership between her team and a new branding agency in late 2015, a rep accidentally showed her a file on his laptop. It wasn't labeled. It was saved in a folder called simply Event, just 12 seconds long. No faces, no sound, but Jennifer recognized the room. The couch, the lighting, the angle. It was that Star Island house. The mirror, the chair. She told her lawyers immediately, but by the time they followed up, the laptop had been wiped, and the rep resigned days later. Gone. The defense objected, hearsay. The judge agreed, but no one in the room missed what was happening. Jennifer didn't need proof. You could see the truth in her face. Then came the final blow in this section. Jennifer's trailer was broken into, nothing stolen, nothing damaged, but everything was moved. Shifted. That's when it all clicked. She said, this wasn't about one party in 2012. It was a system, and I was never meant to speak. The courtroom was still quiet when the prosecutor opened the next folder. Miss Lawrence, we'd like to discuss the contracts. Jennifer nodded. No hesitation now. She described how in 2013, she was approached with a branding deal, a fragrance campaign, a multi-year endorsement worth millions. On the surface, everything looked standard. Until page 37. Client shall refrain from participating in or disclosing any non-public development sessions involving Combs-affiliated figures, past or present. It wasn't legal speak. It wasn't about brand safety. It was a warning. I had never seen language like that before, she said. It wasn't about protecting me. It was about buying my silence before I even spoke. Her legal team walked away from the deal immediately, but it didn't stop there. Over the next 5 years, Jennifer began seeing similar language buried deep in contracts from unrelated companies, fashion labels, lifestyle brands, even wellness retreats, each one with strange phrases tucked in the back pages, legacy disruption clauses, mentorship discretion zones, brand arbitration waivers related to emotional conduct. Then came Exhibit 18C, 3 contracts signed by other female artists across 5 years, each with the same hidden language. Jennifer read one line out loud. Client forfeits all arbitration rights in matters of emotional conduct, brand damage and legacy disruption tied to industry mentorship. Legacy disruption, she said, pausing. That's what they're afraid of. Jennifer was then asked, do you believe you were the only one? She didn't blink. No, I think some people walked in, and some never walked out. And then another question, are you aware of any other high-profile women who were approached and said no? Jennifer hesitated, closed her eyes. Yes, one of them was bigger than me. A true A-lister. She didn't say the name, but she shared the message that woman had sent her in 2020, just days before another secretive retreat. If you value peace, don't go. There are mirrors there. The courtroom froze. Jennifer looked up. Mirrors became a code. It didn't mean actual reflections. It meant you were being watched, recorded, archived. She paused, and none of us were supposed to know. Then came March 2023. Jennifer was nominated for a Creative Empowerment Award by an organization she'd never heard of. The sponsor? The Combs Foundation. She declined immediately, but before she could even respond, a fake press release went out, complete with a fabricated quote from her. Thank you, Diddy, for investing in young voices. Jennifer never said that. That quote never came from me. The entire award was fake. Then came Exhibit 18F, a digital PDF pulled from Jennifer's assistant's spam folder. The email address was untraceable. Within 48 hours of Jennifer publicly declining, the story disappeared. No follow-ups, no media digging, just silence. But something else followed her home. A box, no return address. Inside, latex gloves, a vial of glitter, and one Polaroid, blacked out. Nothing visible. On the back, in thick, inked handwriting. You looked better in red lighting. The room gasped. The judge slammed her gavel. Order. Jennifer confirmed that she reported the threat to LAPD. The case was listed as low-grade harassment. No suspect, no investigation. But Jennifer's message was clear. It wasn't random. That was the room. The smell, the gloves, the lighting. That was a message. The next morning, Jennifer walked back into the courtroom. No glam squad, no distractions. She wore all black, no makeup, hair pulled back, hands tight around a single envelope. She wasn't there as a celebrity. She was there as a witness again. And this time, her voice didn't shake. The prosecutor stepped forward. Careful, soft-spoken. Miss Lawrence, were there any moments framed as positive that you now believe were attempts to manipulate or silence you? Jennifer didn't hesitate. Yes, March 2023. I was nominated for a Creative Empowerment Award from an organization I'd never heard of. The sponsor, the Combs Foundation. She never accepted. But before she could decline publicly, a draft press release circulated online. It featured a fake quote attributed to her. Thank you, Diddy, for investing in young voices. Jennifer never said that. The story vanished within 48 hours. It was like the whole thing was scripted, and I ruined the ending. But something real followed her home. A box. No postage. No sender. Inside, latex gloves. A vial of glitter. And one Polaroid blacked out. Just one message. You looked better in red lighting. That was the freak-off room. And that was a message. Miss Lawrence, did you ever speak with Miss Ventura Cassie after her civil lawsuit went public? Jennifer nodded. Yes. Just once, privately. A hallway. No cameras, no microphones. She described it. Two women who had seen too much, who hadn't said enough. Cassie hugged her and whispered, "Thank you for not asking questions." Back then, I couldn't have answered them. I had seen her before years earlier in those rooms, with candles, with watchers, and she still smiled like she was protecting someone else. That memory stayed with her. Then came Exhibit 18I, an email chain from Cassie's legal team, requesting to confirm a letter dated 2012. The same letter Jennifer had written in private, long before any lawsuits. I gave it to my attorney during a deposition. He read it and asked, "Are you ready for this to go public?" I said yes, because by then it wasn't just about me. The letter was sealed. The judge read it privately. 6 months later, it was evidence. Jennifer was asked to read the last line out loud. She unfolded the page and said, "I am not a product. I am not a secret. If this letter ever reaches you, it means I chose myself over your silence. And you don't own me anymore." Miss Lawrence, the prosecutor asked, "Did anyone from your former management team attempt to interfere with your testimony?" Jennifer nodded. "Yes, 3 weeks ago, a message came through an old assistant. It said, 'We all have things to lose. Don't lose yours over this.'" Exhibit 18J confirmed the delivery route of that note. That night I slept with a letter under my pillow. They already wrote my silence into so many contracts. I had to write my truth somewhere. Miss Lawrence, is there anything else you'd like to say on record? Jennifer looked directly at the jury. Yes, she said. I want to talk about what happens after the cameras, after the applause, after the standing ovations, after the world cheers for you and forgets to ask if you're okay. I've held golden statues. I've worn gowns worth more than some homes, and none of it erased what I saw in that house. Sometimes, when I get a standing ovation, I wonder if someone clapping was in that room. I'm not here for pity, not for revenge. I'm here for the girls watching this trial, the ones who wonder if anyone will believe them. She reached into the envelope on her lap, pulled out one final page. This was the last line I wrote in my journal. After that night, I got out, but I still carry the door inside me. The judge leaned forward. Miss Lawrence, she asked, any closing statement? Jennifer stood. I was never supposed to testify. I was supposed to vanish gracefully. Quietly, that's what they always count on. But not this time, because I'm still here. And now, the doors open. The courtroom remained silent for 37 full seconds. Not because they were told to, but because no one dared move. No one wanted to break the spell of what had just happened. Because when Jennifer Lawrence stepped down from the stand, it wasn't as an actress, not even as a victim. She left the stand as someone who reclaimed their voice in front of everyone who thought she never would. And the gallery? They didn't clap. They didn't cheer. They just watched her walk out, shoulders back, envelope still in hand. And in that moment, it became clear. This trial wasn't about one man. It wasn't about one night, or even one letter. It was about the walls built around silence, and what happens when someone decides to break them. The trial paused for the rest of the day, not because of procedural issues, not because of objections, but because the judge called for it quietly after Jennifer left. Let the record show that we have heard testimony whose emotional and historical weight may extend far beyond this courtroom. No follow-up questions were allowed. No public commentary was made. But inside, something had changed. The clerk's hand shook as she typed her final notes. One juror wiped her cheek discreetly with a tissue. Another stared at Jennifer's empty seat as if something sacred had just left it behind. And the media? For once, they didn't run to twist the story. They just reported what happened, verbatim. Because when a voice returns after 10 years of silence, even headlines know to get out of the way. In the days that followed, something strange happened. There were no press tours, no tell-all interviews, no viral clips flooding social media. Jennifer disappeared again, but this time it wasn't fear, it was peace. Because the last thing she ever needed was more attention. She had already said what needed to be said. And for the first time in a decade, that was enough. She had taken back the one thing the system had always counted on, keeping her silence. If you're still here watching, listening, then you felt it too. This wasn't just a story. It wasn't just Hollywood drama. It was a warning, because not everyone walks out of those rooms. Not everyone has a letter, or a voice, or a witness stand. And not everyone makes it to their 10th year. But Jennifer did, and she used it not to perform, but to testify. If this story hit you, don't scroll away. Share it, not for clicks, not for views, but because someone out there might still be silent. And they need to know they're not the only one. And if you're one of them, we hear you. You don't have to speak right now. But when you're ready, your voice will matter. Jennifer said it best. I still carry the door inside me, but now, it's open. So let's keep it open, because silence protects the wrong people, and now the whole world knows it.